Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Combat Talk. I'm your favorite host, Sophia. And a little synopsis of the show, like we do every week, ladies and gentlemen. We got some UFC 312 predictions this weekend. We got my favorite knockout artists to talk about. We got some submissions to talk about. And we also got an honorable mention of Domink Cruz. So stay tuned. We're going to cut to commercial break and be back very soon, guys. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to your favorite MMA show. Now let's get started. We got some UFC 312 predictions to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not interested, click off, because this ain't for you. For my fans, let's get down to it. Now, we're going to start with the early prelims. We have Wong Kong versus Bruna Brazil. Sorry, guys. Apparently we can't talk today. So this fight is actually a women's fight, and I know you see my handy-dandy notebook. Trust, this is the MMA notebook for everybody. So Wong Kong is a striker, also nicknamed the Joker. You've seen the pictures from the weigh-ins. She did paint her face like the Joker, which I think is really cool. She's known for her fast knockouts. Bruna Brazil, MMA-based. Uses her kicks to create damage. Throws a little wild, able to get the takedown quickly. Who will win this fight? Bruna. What? One more time. What? Yes, I said it. Bruna's winning. I'm calling it. Oh my god, I'm sorry, my beautiful mic. Yes, Bruna's winning. And then, onto the main card. To start the main card, we have Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado at welterweight. Jake Matthews is a freestyle fighter, relies on striking, times his shot, not very good in the clinch, and no takedown defense. Boo. MMA, dude. Need takedown defense. Then we have Francisco Prado. He's a street fighter, heavy hands, swings a little wild, able to control on the ground. We're going Jake Matthews. He might not be good, but you know, we gotta deal with what we deal with our fight cards. So, Jake Matthews, please pull through. If I'm wrong on this one, I am so sorry for you guys, because I'm going to have a bad day, and that's not good for you guys. It's just not. On to our next fight. We have Domink Cruz versus Rodolfo Bellato. It's an interesting name, guys. At light heavyweight, this fight is. Domink Cruz, MMA base, heavy hands, well-rounded fighter, able to get the submission if the fight gets to the ground. Also, Rodolfo Bellato, striker, feints a lot, reactive fighter, takedowns, a lot of pressure passing on the ground. Now, we got an MMA fighter, and we got a fighter that can strike, but also has a good ground game. I'm calling Domink Cruz. I know. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. I know I can't see you guys, but I know you're looking at me crazy. Domink Cruz is winning. Hey, my opinion, you're watching my show. So, on to the next fight. We have Justin Tafa versus Talison Teixeira. What? At heavyweight? Yeah. What's up? Justin Tafa, striker, heavy hands, leans more with his hands than ground game. Teixeira, we're going with Teixeira because I don't know how to say his first name. He's a striker, very quick hands, sort of sloppy. So we're going with Justin Tafa. Tafa, we need you to come through on this one. Just saying. Also, on to our main event, we got a female fight. Woo, woo, woo. Just saying. It's very good for us females. So, this fight's going to be very interesting. We have Wei Li versus Tatiana Suarez at strawweight. Wei Li is a Muay Thai fighter. She's a striker. She's very powerful, fast hands, uses elbows and head kicks, as we have all seen in her fights. Tatiana is a wrestler. She's very, how do I say it? Very fluid with her fights. She's very good on the ground. She can strike. She's got power. We've all seen. Fun fact, Tatiana Suarez did go to the Olympics for wrestling. Just saying. Just saying. I'm going with my girl Tatiana, but the last fight, Sean Strickland versus Dricus. All we need to say is Sean Strickland is fighting, and he's winning. Dricus, I hope this is your funeral, and bye-bye, buddy, because no one likes you, and I hope you die in this fight. It's probably not a good thing to say, but if you're a Dricus fan, you need to go to therapy and need mental help. So, that was my UFC 312 predictions. We got some upcoming interesting topics to talk about after this break. So, we're going to throw it to the first song of the show, guys. We have That's What You Get by Paramore. Stay tuned, guys. Hello, everybody, and welcome back, my fabulous MMA fans. we have some sad news. Domink Cruz has retired. This is not okay. My childhood is coming to an end. I know it's very sad for my lovely fight fans. Domink Cruz was supposed to fight February 22nd against Rob Font, and it's very sad. Man had 2 dislocations in his shoulder and was not able to fight. So, kudos to Domink Cruz for being the first bantamweight champion in UFC's history. We love Domink Cruz and shout out to him. He's done so much for the sport and so much for the bantamweight division. If it wasn't for him, you would not see movement like him. And you would not see feet movement like him, I should say. He had fast movement. I think he was one of the best fighters in bantamweight. He's absolutely top 5. And I actually have his record pulled up for you guys on ESPN. Let's actually run through a couple of these fights. Let's go with first Uriah Faber and Domink Cruz. Also, can we talk about that's like actually one of the greatest bantamweight rivalries, just because these guys have fought, I think, twice in the WEC and then once in the UFC. And that's crazy because these two have done so many things for the bantamweight division and done so many things in MMA in general. Just saying. If you got an opinion, speak your mind in the comments, guys. Let me know. But I just think, if you are not a true fight fan, you are not a true fight fan if you don't know who Domink Cruz is. This man does not just commentate, guys. He has been fighting for 25 years. Let that sink in. 25 years Domink Cruz has been around fighting. That's insane. Because a lot of people don't make it that long in this sport. Just because you see injuries and you see life issues and mental health and whatever the case may be. But let's get into some of the wins that Domink Cruz has. You have Brian Bowles, Joseph Benavidez. Johnson is, dude. You got some issues. Demetrius Johnson is literally the greatest bantamweight in history. Doesn't matter if it's UFC. Doesn't matter if it's one championship. Doesn't matter if it's PFL. Doesn't matter if it's any fight organization. Demetrius Johnson's on top. I know we're talking about Domink Cruz, but I'm going to give my shout-outs where they're due and where credit is due, guys. If you don't like it, that's your fault, not mine. Joseph Benavidez, that fight was actually so good. It was decision. Yeah, it was decision. But this was in the WEC. Also, shout out to the WEC, because a lot of those fighters you would not know if it wasn't for the WEC. Just saying. Hey. But I will say, if you really want to watch some good fights and you want to watch Domink Cruz's highlights of his career, watch early WEC fights from him and early UFC fights when he first started in the UFC. They're crazy, they're good highlights, and you guys should be taking notes. If you're in MMA and you're training and you want to get better footwork, please take notes. I know a lot of people did figure out his footwork and were able to capitalize on it and beat him because of it. But we can all learn from our mistakes and learn how to grow. Domink Cruz, thank you so much for what you've done for the MMA community and for the sport. We all salute you, and I hope you have a great journey for the rest of your life. And I hope you have great memories from the sport. I hope you had a wonderful career that you loved. And we all love you, Domink. I hope you get better, and I hope your shoulder is doing okay. I hate to see you go out like this, but we all love you, Domink. Well, with that being said, we're going to throw it to the next song, guys. Never Too Late by 3 Days Grace. I hope you guys enjoy. Come back, because we got some interesting topics to talk about. everybody, and welcome back to Combat Talk, your favorite MMA show. I'm your host, Sophia, as you may know. Now we're going to talk about my favorite knockout artist. Number 1, Ruthless Robbie Lawler. You cannot talk about this man for knockout artists. If you're leaving him out, the door is right there. You need to bye-bye. Step your foot out and go. Robbie Lawler has countless knockouts. One of my favorites is him against Josh Koscheck, just because I hate Josh Koscheck. Hope you see this, Josh, because I hate you and you're a horrible person. Josh talks so much smack, and he says so much stuff about people, and he never got beat. Well, he did get beat, but not as badly as when he got knocked out by Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler had so many memorable fights, including Rory McDonald. If you have not watched that fight where Robbie gets his lip cut, dude, that dude has a scar still on his lip from that fight. It's an amazing fight. On to our next one, though. Anthony Rumble Johnson. Rest in peace, Anthony Johnson. But we cannot talk about this man without saying that he is one of the greatest light heavyweights there is. Anthony Johnson was probably one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in the MMA community. And plus, his power was, unremarkable. If you have not watched this man's fights, you need to go on YouTube and go watch it. You need to. It's a must. Anthony Johnson, he did very well in his career. It was just when he go into the title fights, he got nervous and got kind of, shocked and, couldn't handle that mental pressure of doing the title fight. But we all love him, and rest in peace, Anthony Johnson. You will be one of our favorites for always. But with that being said, if you watch the show, you know Jon Jones is my favorite. And how can we not talk about Jon Jones for this segment? Jon Jones's power, dude, the elbows. You don't understand. These elbows are coming out of nowhere. You got spinning, and you got them straight to your face with you seeing it, and you got them on the ground. Dude, you got people being dropped from everywhere by Jon Jones. That's all I need to say about him. That's all I gotta say. But with that being said, let's move on to Jose Aldo. What? Yeah? Who? Let's talk about him. Jose Aldo, far in the WEC, far in the UFC. Did he get clipped by Conor McGregor? We don't talk about that. Jose Aldo, you would not hear about a lot of these guys in the UFC if it wasn't for Jose Aldo. He paved the way for so many fighters, I'm telling you. And Jose Aldo had such remarkable knockout power to the point where he was knocking people out left and right and for so many fights that nobody could stop him. But onto the female knockout artists. What? Who? Holly Holm. Let's talk about this. Holly Holm was a kickboxer and did a lot in kickboxing, then switched over to MMA. Holly Holm knocked out Ronda Rousey with a head kick. Glorious. I'm not a Ronda Rousey fan. All I will say is I give my respect where it's due. Ronda did a lot for women's MMA, but she did not do as much as Holly Holm, Kat Zingano, Chris Cyborg, Gina Carano. If you don't know who those women are, look them up and you will be well educated. Just saying. On to our second female knockout artist. We have Amanda Nunes. Everybody was ducking this woman. What? I can't talk today, guys. I'm sorry. Amanda Nunes beat Chris Cyborg pretty bad. And beat other women. She was able to have 2 titles in 2 different divisions. That is remarkable. She's the first ever woman in the UFC to ever do that. And we haven't seen it since. So, on to our last one that we're going to talk about. Chris Cyborg. Speaking of Ronda Rousey, Ronda, didn't you duck Chris Cyborg for years because you're scared? Oh, that's right. Speaking the truth here, speaking some facts, but Chris Cyborg set so many expectations and standards for women in this division and in general, just because Chris Cyborg was able to accomplish so many different things in MMA that many women don't get to say, and even men don't get to say. Chris Cyborg will also always be a legend in women's MMA and in MMA in general. If you do not know who Chris Cyborg is, you need to look that up. You just do. She has set the boundaries. She's like, not set up the boundaries. What am I saying? She's literally set the bar for women's MMA. And she has said, I'm going to cross that. And I'm going to make it. She's going to knock it out of the park. That's right. I said it. I know I'm going all over the place, guys. However, on to one of my personal favorites growing up. I know I'm still a high school student. But it's still one of my favorite songs. You got the DOC. DOC and the Doctor. Please stay tuned in for our next segment. But listen to the song real quick and come back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. One of the last segments on Combat Talk today is going to be my favorite submission artists. First, honorable mention, Charles Oliveira. What? Huh? Why? If you have not watched this man's fights, yes, he's got a lot of losses, but the man's submission game is unremarkable. Dude, I'm telling you, it is unbelievable. He almost broke Tony Ferguson's arm. He's able to control the back for more than 2 minutes. Dude's unstoppable on the ground. On to our next fighter, Mackenzie Dern. If you tuned in last week, you know my coach Pat Robinson was on here. And we did an interview with him, and his first coach was Megaton, Mackenzie Dern's dad. What? Yeah. Mackenzie Dern's dad is actually a black belt. And is really ridiculously good. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I said it. Mackenzie Dern has a remarkable submission game. We actually saw it in our last fight where you guys should be warned. She's got a good submission game. Be warned, ladies. Mackenzie Dern is not for the weak. On to our next fighter. We have Nate Diaz. Why would I talk about Nate Diaz? Why would you say that? Blah, blah, blah. This man was able to do a triangle from the back. Yeah. He's able to do any submission in his fights. He's able to get it. He's able to put it in tight. And you don't even have to worry about it. You can go to sleep and then wake up and it's all over. But our last one that we're going to talk about is Demetrius Johnson. The flying armbar. All I have to say is when you're able to lift a man up in the air and armbar him, you have my utter respect. Can I talk today, guys? Apparently not. I'm stuttering a lot. I know, I'm sorry. But DJ, you are one of my favorite submission artists. I have to truly say that. However, out of the 4, to pick my favorite one, I'm going to have to go DJ. And then I'm going to go, let's do this. Let's make a list. Let's do the top 4. We're going to go DJ, Mackenzie Dern, Charles Oliveira, and Nate Diaz. A lot of people are going to argue with that. I don't care. You're not on the radio. Not my problem. DJ just has a level of skills that you can't compete with it. And he just retired last year, late last year, and won championship. Now, he did have a controversial fight where he did get kneed in the face. And shouldn't have happened because a lot of people think that rule should be illegal. And it is in certain organizations, but in one championship, for some reason, it isn't. I don't understand that. But Demetrius Johnson, you are number 1 in my book, and you always will be. But Mackenzie Dern, how are we not going to talk about her? For the people that are like, oh, she doesn't have that good of a submission game. Dude, this girl practically grew up in a gym where all she did was jiu-jitsu. Dude, don't argue with me. It's just the facts. If you want to argue with facts, I don't have time for it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. We're not here for it. If you want to come on the show, your seat's right there. Let me know. But we're going to switch it up and go back to Nate Diaz because I want to say something. When you're able to make a statement from your submissions and have people worried about it is a lot to say about your fighting skills. Nate Diaz has done some unspeakable things in his fights and unspeakable things in behind the scenes. Yes, he did some things in his fights while he was submitting people, but we're not going to talk about that because it's not really appropriate. But if you can watch the fight for yourself. Dude was on The Ultimate Fighter and didn't really like it. It wasn't really made for him. He's not the person you really want on Ultimate Fighter just because he's a little, how do I say it? Not hoodlum, but out there, and he just doesn't put up with anything, and a lot of people can't deal with that. So, if you can't deal with that, need some help, don't you? Just saying. Well, that was my favorite submission artist for you guys. And stay tuned, because we got some MMA rivalries to talk about after this song. Tune in to the next segment after the song, Sugar Baby Bash. Welcome back, guys, to Combat Talk. Unfortunately, this is the last segment, but I saved the best for last, guys. It is the best MMA feuds. First of all, we're going to start with a strong one. John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. Now, a little backstory for this one. For both fights, John Jones was called out for using steroids, and of course he was a user of drugs, and we're not okay with that. But Daniel was trying to capitalize on that, and he really couldn't. John Jones is just too good for him. And a lot of people thought Daniel's wrestling was going to save him. No, John Jones took him down more than Daniel's ever taking down someone in one fight. Sorry, but it was said. John Jones was the winner of that. So, if you're going to argue with that, I'm not going to listen. Sorry. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor. A lot of smack talk in this fight. The first one, I should say. And Nate did choke Conor. It was a rear naked choke. Nate did lose the second fight, but hey, we all make our mistakes and we all learn from it. This was one of my favorite feuds just because, you got some of... They both talk smack. What am I saying? What am I saying, guys? But I'm a Nate Diaz fan through and through. Conor is not the GOAT. Sorry, guys. He's just not. The people that say Conor's the GOAT, you have issues, because just because he was a double champ does not mean he was the GOAT. Dude, John Jones is the GOAT. Undefeated. I don't want to hear it. He is. Dude, that one did not count because the elbow rule got changed. Just saying. You can't argue with me. Argue with Dana White, because Dana's getting it fixed. Sorry, not sorry. On to the third rivalry. We have Tito versus Frank Shamrock. What? You're going to talk about an old fight? You probably weren't even alive for it. No, I was not, but I watched it. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Now, if we can recall, Tito and Frank Shamrock did coach against each other on The Ultimate Fighter. We saw how that turned out. Michael Bisping was on Tito's team, ended up being one of the winners, and actually made it onto a long career. And we saw how that turned out. Frank, he's, yeah. Wait, what am I saying? Don't we mean Ken? Sorry, guys. It's a long day. But I know I had to read it. I read it for myself and just realized someone made a mistake on the rundown. Just saying. But yes, Tito and Ken did make it on The Ultimate Fighter and coach against each other. I still have the same opinion. Ken, you're an idiot. You are a butt to everybody. You're rude and you're disrespectful. You shut your brother out for how many years? That's not my problem. Frank Shamrock is a way better person than you ever will be, and he's a better fighter than you ever were. It's a hot take, I know. I'm saying Ken Shamrock versus Tito, it's one of the greatest rivalries just because you had a lot of smack talk, but you also have someone that thinks he's the greatest fighter, but really isn't. He's really butt. He is. But on to one of the last rivalries we have is Rampage Jackson versus Rashad Evans. These two also did coach on The Ultimate Fighter Season 10. Now, Rampage actually did fight in Pride, and we saw him fight against Vanderlei Silva. And Rashad Evans, we've seen him fight John Jones, we've seen him fight Forrest. And I'm not a personal fan of Rashad. I think Rashad likes to act like he's the class act when he's really not. Rashad, you're disrespectful, and no one likes you. I don't know how people like you. I think you're an idiot, and I don't think you have any intellectual skills. I don't think you're smart at all. I think you're stupid. Rampage Jackson, I just think he's a better fighter in general. But we saw the fight, and we know the results. I know. But I'm telling you, watch The Ultimate Fighter Season 10. Rampage and Rashad. In my opinion, I think it's the best season of all the shows. Just saying. It's a hot take, I know. People are like, well, the first season of The Ultimate Fighter was better, and blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but the first season of Ultimate Fighter did set a standard, and it was good. It was good. But it's not the best one. Season 10, I'm telling you. But on to one of the last rivalries we have. To throw it and mix it up, we have Miesha Tate versus Ronda Rousey. These two fought in Strikeforce, and Ronda did win from armbar, and she also did win the second fight. But these two also did coach on the Tough show. We saw that. Miesha Tate actually was a replacement because Ronda was supposed to go against someone else, and the girl fell through. And these two do not like each other. Ronda refused to shake Misha's hand after the fight. Misha wanted to get that mutual respect back and didn't get it. Well, Ronda, in my personal opinion, like I said in the last segment, Ronda, you might have set the standard for women, but you are not at all a girl's girl, and you will never be the greatest women's fighter, and no one loves you. No one likes you. You are nothing, and no one wants you in this sport ever again. You suck, and I don't care. Ronda, you disrespect every woman that you ever talk to in this sport. You've disrespected everybody in this sport. We have... Oh my gosh. Let's find it on my phone, apparently. Wanderlei Silva versus Rampage Jackson? What? Wanderlei Silva fought in Pride, and Rampage Jackson fought in Pride. They did fight each other in Pride, but let's also talk about the fact that Pride had steroid users, and Wanderlei was one of them. And Wanderlei got caught out for it. And when he fought in the UFC and came back from Pride, he got a rude awakening and got beat. Well, actually, no, I'm wrong. Now that I think of it. Wanderlei did beat Rampage, but hey, I'm not the steroid user he is, and we all have seen what happens, and, you know, Wanderlei, bye-bye, buddy. After that one, we have Cody Garbrandt versus TJ Dillashaw. Now, people are like, why would you talk about that? That's so annoying to hear, like, and everybody knows about it. Well, it's actually one of the greatest rivalries we ever will talk about. So let's talk about it. The backstory about this fight. They both trained at Team Alpha Male in Sacramento, California with Uriah Faber. And Uriah brought in a coach named Dwayne Ludwig, who has his own gym in Colorado, and decided to come down and help the guys out. And TJ grew closer to Dwayne and started getting to know him, and they became friends. And all of a sudden, Dwayne was like, TJ, why don't you come up here for a little bit? So TJ did. Excuse me, guys. And TJ did, and he started moving there to do his camps and stuff for his fights. Uriah Faber found out, didn't like it because TJ didn't tell Uriah. It became a whole thing. The whole Team Alpha Male thought it was disrespectful. He didn't tell anybody, blah, blah, blah. As we know the story. So, Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw also coached on The Ultimate Fighter. I know. But TJ did win, but also was an avid steroid user and got caught for using steroids for the majority of his career. So, TJ Dillashaw, I don't think you're a real fighter. I think you are decent, but you're a steroid user, and half your fights you were using steroids to win the fights. That's why you beat Cody. And just saying, I don't think that makes you a true fighter, and I don't think that makes you a true athlete. And, you know, if you want to use steroids, that's your personal preference, not mine. I think that's very stupid. I don't think that does anything to make you any better. It just makes you look bigger and apparently have more power. But, hey, what do I know? I know. I'm just saying. But that was the last segment of Combat Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please tune in next week and the following week. This was Combat Talk. What am I saying, guys? What do I know? This was Combat Talk. I'm your host, Sophia, your favorite MMA host. And the last song is Elucid by Sleep Token. Tune in next time, guys.